Hello, everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this Human First AI podcast. I'm Binny, the founder of Hi. I have with me a very special guest today, Gopalratnam. Gopal is the Executive Vice President and the Global CIO at Philips, where he partners with the leadership team to help in the transformation of the company digitally focused on healthcare solutions. Previously, Gopal was the country head of Cisco in Turkey and the SVP IT and CIO International at Cisco. And previously, Gopal was the SVP focused on global analytics at GE Capital. Gopal, thank you so much for taking time to do this. It's a complete honor to have you on this podcast.
Thank you so much, Binny. It's a pleasure being here. Thanks for inviting me.
Sure. Gopal, to begin with, something timely that what's happening out there in the markets and what we're curious about, which is the public markets have been punishing SaaS software companies right now. But for yourself, being a digital leader inside an enterprise on the ground, is anything changing fundamentally on how companies are buying and building software, or is this more a Wall Street temporary blip we are experiencing right now?
Yeah, I think, obviously the markets have been a little irrational of late. And of course, this sell-off from the SaaS world was essentially triggered by the fact that everybody thinks that, AI agent innovation, if you can call it that,
Mhm.
is really going to completely transform the way work actually gets done in companies.
Mm.
And of course, the ongoing perception is that AI can pretty much threaten and actually replace, software
Mhm.
workflows, and that's the reason for all of this happening.
Mhm.
Uh, the sentiment in companies is slightly different, I think,
Mm.
simply because if you look at the traditional SaaS players, particularly the ones that are at scale and things that are vertically integrated, for lack of a better term, they are very deeply embedded in the DNA of any
Mm.
enterprise.
Mhm.
They have they have access to large data sources. They have the ability to influence workflows that can go across multiple systems.
Mhm.
And things like ERP and CRM and things like that are not technologies that you can replace overnight. Uh,
Yeah.
at the same time, if you look at where AI has actually struggled a little bit,
Mhm.
is this whole notion of looking at things end to end. AI has
Mm.
done quite well in point solutions, but
Mhm.
the jury is still out on whether it has the ability to replace
Mhm.
and actually automate end-to-end workflows across key business domains. Uh,
Mhm.
and then, therefore, I think while companies recognize the fact that AI is a fundamental threat,
Yeah.
I don't think they've yet seen the ability of SaaS companies to be replaced by AI when it comes to enterprise processes, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And of course, investors continue to flee from these SaaS companies because they feel that the SaaS companies will not be the provider of choice for AI agents.
Mhm.
And that whole traditional per seat licensing model will become obsolete, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Um, so I think the SaaS companies can help themselves by not being so complex
Mm.
uh, and not really try to push their AI native platforms to companies.
Mm.
That's what I think big companies are a little wary about. I
Okay.
can't just keep buying AI native platforms from every vendor there
Right.
because then integration becomes a nightmare.
Right.
Uh, so, what companies have started to do is really build their AI foundation
Mhm.
internally
Yeah.
and then leverage the SaaS capabilities or the vendor capabilities as required and not necessarily invest in the AI native capabilities of those vendors.
Interesting. And by the AI native capabilities of the vendors, you mean kind of the agent toolkit they let you build on top of their SaaS and things like that. Got it. And that locks
It's
you
the
up into
platform
that.
that they offer. It's the
Okay.
platform that they offer, which is the foundation to
Mm.
everything that they do.
Right.
Now, the platform becomes a proxy for their licensing model
Yeah.
in some ways.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Except that when they give you the platform, then they have you kind of hooked onto it.
Right.
So, and companies don't necessarily want to buy the platform from every vendor. It's
Correct.
not sustainable.
Right. Right. And the whole idea of a platform is that you have one that unifies everything. So,
Yes, right.
okay. Okay. Makes sense.
And that is
Uh,
something that the company may want to keep inside. It's obviously at the end
right.
of the day your IP, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Yeah. And uh, when you think about this AI platform inside an enterprise, what are some components of such a platform that you would build internally?
Well, I think the two pieces that we would definitely do internally
Yeah.
are the architectural foundation.
Hmm.
Number two is having control over the entire data
Mm,
that actually runs through the enterprise. To
hmm.
me, I think outside of architecture and data,
Mm,
everything else can be done with an external agency.
hmm.
I really believe that the value of a
Hmm.
solution comes in
Yeah.
from a deep understanding of your enterprise architecture and the
Hmm.
way your data is constructed and the way data flows across systems. That is something that you
Hmm.
keep inside the company. Associated with that, of course, you have your security and access, guardrails, your tokens, and all of that stuff, which are more operational in
Yeah.
nature. But the
Hmm.
intellectual quotient of a solution that you want to keep inside the company, which we
Hmm.
call the AI foundation, is
Hmm.
mainly your architectural standards and guardrails and your
Yeah.
data standards and guardrails.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense. And just, given your extensive experience, right, you've seen the technology waves of data engineering, data science, cloud, and I guess ML and AI right now. Is this
Yeah.
fundamentally different? Does it feel fundamentally different? In what ways is it fundamentally different, or is it very similar to what you've seen before?
Well, I think the if you look at the traditional data and analytics world,
Mm,
while it pivoted around data,
mm,
it was still very human being centric.
mm,
It
mm,
really came down to human beings or data science professionals actually looking at data and manipulating data, massaging data, cleaning data, fixing data, and modeling data. That's what we
right,
used to do. And I
right.
always refer to that as analytics using technology.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
But what the world is talking about today is technology based analytics, which
mm,
is basically where the platform does most of the heavy crunching and computing for you.
right.
And the involvement of human beings has reduced. I mean, it's still very important because the context and the understanding of all that comes from human beings ultimately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But a large part of the compute
Mm,
environment
mm,
can be taken away by platforms. To me,
mm-hmm.
that the I'm not saying humans are not relevant anymore,
Mm-hmm.
but I think humans are going to play a very key role in supporting
Mm-hmm.
AI.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that difference between the involvement in hardcore analytics work in the past and what it is now, it is quite different. And what
Mm,
is driving this change is this whole notion of intent.
mm,
Intent is really what is going to make agentic AI successful. We never really
okay.
talked about intent earlier. That was really left to human beings to kind of figure out
Right.
earlier, right?
Okay.
So,
Uh-huh.
in some ways, it is different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's why I also believe that human beings have a higher purpose now than they
Mm,
did before. I
mm-hmm.
mean, earlier we just went through the motions and we were the worker bees.
Yeah.
Now hopefully we'll get the opportunity to actually play value added roles while the
Mm,
technology does the worker bee job.
right. Right. It's very interesting. You mentioned that. Recently I was speaking with a friend who had joined one of these AI labs, and he was telling me that internally there is this belief that humans only have a very small window to contribute towards AI research. So I asked him, so what do you mean? What happens after that? He said, after that, we believe that AI will just do most of the research to progress AI. So we estimate we have 3 or 4 years for humans to kind of contribute to this whole thing. So to your point about technology-based analytics that we're moving to.
Yeah.
Um,
In fact,
uh,
one of the things I always use as an example, I
mhm.
don't know if you've heard of this term called art- artificial stupidity. Have you heard that?
No, I'm not. First time.
Okay.
Yeah.
The simplest example
Hmm.
I can give you is, let's say you play chess with a computer.
Yeah.
Okay. So you make a move, the computer makes a move, etc.
Mm,
The computer has the ability to go through 10 million moves, and it can give you the most optimum kind of a move because
mm,
it has that capability.
hmm.
Mankind doesn't work that way. You can't go from here to here
Yeah.
in one giant step.
Hmm.
You've got to get through a series of steps, each
Hmm.
one more incrementally sophisticated than the one before.
Hmm.
That notion of taking these incremental steps
Mm,
to ultimately get to the level of the machine, that
mm,
paradigm is called artificial stupidity. So,
hmm.
to a large extent,
Mm,
that is what is going to end up happening in the next 10 or 15 years.
hmm.
We don't have the ability to go to complete AGI, for example.
Yeah.
We need to get there in a sequence of incremental steps.
Hmm.
And that sequencing
Hmm.
aligns with the fact that we are intelligent and stupid at the same time. So it needs to kind of balance between the two. That's the concept behind this. So we will get
I
there
see.
eventually, but we'll
Yeah.
get to it in a series of steps.
Got it. So we exist in this stupidity intelligence continuum in a way, and we have to like traverse that step by step towards
Yeah.
the intelligence part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Makes
And
sense.
each
Makes sense.
step builds on the previous one. We don't have the ability to just dump everything and go 5 levels up one at
Right.
one shot. It's not humanly possible.
Yeah. 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 And you mentioned two specific words. You spoke about intent. You spoke about purpose. When you say intent, I'm curious what you mean by that.
I mean, intent obviously is the context in which you kind of
Mhm.
operate,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
at the end of the day, if you develop a solution, that
Hmm.
solution needs to understand the environment to which it's being applied.
Mm,
And the understanding of the environment comes through an appreciation of
hmm.
the intent,
Hmm.
why that solution was developed in the first place,
Hmm.
and the variables in that environment to which the solution is being applied.
Yeah.
That is really the promise of agentic AI. Agentic AI
Yeah.
basically says the automated agents will make a decision on what
Yeah.
has to be done.
Hmm.
In order to do that, it needs to understand the context
Yeah.
to which that solution is applied.
Yeah.
And that understanding comes through
Mm,
intent.
intent. And earlier, humans were providing that intent. That's kind of what you mean. And today,
Correct.
a
It's
lot of the,
basically the so what.
yeah. So what?
It's
Yeah.
the so
Yeah.
what.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Uh, it's a very interesting
Yeah.
point. Because there was some again another conversation I was having where we were talking about this whole concept of a product manager co-pilot that AI could potentially be a software
Yeah.
development co-pilot product manager. And the question was, okay, let's say AI can synthesize the problem space, it can synthesize the solution space, and then now it has to make a decision on what to build. Not every product manager decision is analytical. There's a concept of taste involved in product manager decisions. Now, for a human, taste comes from who they are as people, their DNA, what that, and there's nothing right or wrong about taste. And the question is, what is a machine's
Yeah.
taste? How do you embed taste into a machine? So I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
I don't, yeah. I mean, honestly, that is a long way away still, right? I think at
Yeah.
the end of the day, that
Mm,
is what basically differentiates human beings from machines,
right.
is the fact that we have empathy
Hmm.
and we are able to put feelings and sentiments and all of that into everything that we do.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, some of the newer capabilities in some of the models that have been released
Mm,
by the high tech companies out there,
mm,
they do say that these these machines are now starting to behave and think and act like humans.
mm,
but it's very, very early stages. I think at the end of the day, I mean, that's why we are humans, and that's why machines are machines, and we're still a long way away
Yeah.
from actually, converging. Now,
Yeah. Right.
will that happen in the future? I don't know. But
Mm.
directionally, that's what the world seems to be talking about.
Yeah.
But I still think we're a long way away, which is
Right.
why the relevance and the role of the human being is not going to go away.
Yeah.
Because honestly, Binny, I think so far we've
Mm.
seen the good side of AI,
Hmm.
what it can do, and everyone gets excited about it.
Right.
We rarely talk about what are the bad things that AI can do.
Mm.
And my fear is that somewhere, AI will do something wrong
Mm.
in two or three areas
Mm.
that will cause a reset for the world. Right now,
Mm.
everything is completely irrational.
Yeah.
And all it will take is for AI to stub its toe two or three times and do
Right.
something bad. And
Right.
then everyone will kind of scale back and say, oh, okay, maybe we've gone a little overboard with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
see.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. No, makes sense. And also, given how pervasive it has become so fast, whenever that event happens that you just mentioned, that the bad thing,
Yeah,
it has a pretty high probability of being a pretty very bad thing, given how quickly, how fast it has kind of seeped into our lives and systems and all of that stuff.
correct.
So, you spoke about purpose earlier. So it looks like you're an optimist here that AI is going to liberate us from the mundane day to day, and we can kind of, most of us at least, will get a chance to uh, maximize our self potential and fulfill our um, uh, strengths and ambitions and stuff like that, while AI takes care of the mundane stuff. Is that where you think this will head? Hmm.
I think as it gets more into the nuanced, contextual, intent-based solutions,
Yeah.
that's where I think we will have to kind of work together
Hmm.
in order to make sure that the output is positive and it
Yeah.
has the beneficial effect.
Yeah.
So clearly, it brings capabilities that we don't have,
Hmm.
but at the same time, it needs to be managed in a responsible way.
Hmm.
And then that's where this whole notion of whether you call it ethical AI or otherwise,
Yeah.
plays a very key role. And that's where our involvement as human beings is more important.
Okay.
But I
You
am
said earlier,
optimistic about what it can do.
into okay. So you've said earlier about how inside an enterprise, the CIOs kind of the grass caught between the CFO and the CEO, and you've also made this point about communication being a critical lifelong skill. So how do you
Yeah.
navigate this tension between multiple C-level folks, and what role does communication play in all that?
The CEO is looking for impact on the top line for the most
Mm,
part,
mm,
growth, revenue, etc., etc. That's
mhm,
what they want: new markets, new customers. And the CEO generally believes that widespread application of AI can transform all business domains,
mhm,
whether it's R&D,
mhm,
engineering, sales, marketing, and so on.
mhm,
The CFO, not that they're not interested in the top line, they are obviously very interested in the cost angle
mhm,
and the profitability of the company.
mhm,
Um, AI promises that things can be done faster, things can be done cheaper, can automate a lot of things, right? But that has really not translated into impact on the P&L,
mm.
because the CFO is looking at, so how many people can we take out? How
Right.
much cost did we save? And the
Yeah.
answer is you really haven't. You've created a lot of time for people,
Yeah.
but those people who for whom you've created a lot of time savings have not been let go. They get repurposed into something else. So
Hmm.
the total headcount doesn't change at the company
Hmm.
level.
Hmm.
So the CFO is standing around saying, where am I seeing the value of
Yeah.
AI?
Hmm.
We are investing a lot, we are spending a lot on AI, but it's not translating into cost savings.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, so this is the disconnect that exists on a daily basis.
Hmm.
CIO kind of is caught between the two.
Hmm.
Not only do you have to use AI because everybody else is using AI. So you can't
Hmm.
stand back and say, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
You've got to pick your spots
Mm. Right.
where you can actually use AI
Mm.
so that you can have material impact.
Mm.
And and that impact needs to be
Mm.
translated into the language of business.
Hmm.
The CEO is looking at certain KPIs, the
Hmm.
CFO is looking at certain KPIs.
Hmm.
So our job as the CIO is to make sure that you manage both sets of KPIs
Hmm.
so that you get the funding to do the work at the same time you're delivering value. And so this outside in thinking, if you want to call it that, is very, very critical in the way you communicate. And you communicate in terms of impact, in terms of the language of business, not in terms of what the technology can do, but what is the outcome that you're influencing. And and that is a lifelong thing. And it's not, as the business flavors change during the course of time,
Yeah.
you have to adapt your communication to align with the KPIs that you're impacting.
Got it.
So, and that's
Hmm.
why I always believe the CIO is should be called the CFO, the Chief Flexibility Officer.
Got it. So does that mean that um, for AI initiatives, there is a lot more business teams involved in AI projects than it was the case
Yeah,
for a cloud project or a data science project?
agree.
I
AI
see.
is a business transformation project. It's
Mm.
not an IT transformation project,
Mm.
and it starts with the business domain. It
Hmm.
starts with identifying what is the problem you're trying to solve
Hmm.
before you actually apply AI. That is
Hmm.
not how you did cloud projects, for example.
Hmm. I see.
So it is a
Got it.
business transformation effort.
Hmm. Got it. And one of the narrators of AI that I've heard is it is just another level of abstraction from, you know, assembly code, object-oriented programming. There's just one easier way to talk to computers. Does that framing of AI completely miss the point, or is there some truth to it? Um,
Well, I think, I mean, there is a little bit of truth to it for sure. Why do I say that? Is because there's underlying complexity
mhm.
in most organizations.
Yeah.
What this also allows us to do is to help us move faster. It also
Hmm.
helps transform the work that we do as developers into systems kind of integrators.
Hmm.
And why AI can be looked at as an abstraction layer is because it kind of shifts the interface from
Hmm.
manual programming and coding
Yeah.
to actually describing business outcomes, right? And it hides the complexity. Uh, More importantly, it also acts in, at least in large companies,
Hmm.
as the layer or the gateway
Hmm.
between applications and the AI models.
Hmm.
And it handles security, it handles cost control, it handles access, it handles token management, and so on. So in some ways, it is a little bit of an abstraction layer. Uh, of course, you can also say that you can have the counter argument and say it fundamentally does not replace the need for understanding concepts like logic and algorithms and all of that. Uh, at the same time, in some areas where it's a complex environment or end-to-end scenarios, it really offers limited gains.
Hmm.
And then this whole notion of, while things happen faster,
Yeah.
how these systems actually behave and act in an ecosystem
Hmm.
can end up in scenarios where it can go wrong,
Yeah.
right? So from that standpoint, you can make the argument this way
Both
and that
ways.
way. It
Yeah.
can be a new abstraction layer,
Yeah.
and it also, you can argue against it.
Right. Got it. Okay. And, as a follow-up to that, which is for as much popular media narratives are there on the opportunities of what's possible with AI, there's as much hype about failing POCs and investments not showing much ROI. Do you think that is completely overblown? The whole thing that 95% of AI POCs fail and things like that. A, is it overblown? B, are they defining POCs the wrong way? What do you think about?
See, I think ultimately what has happened, and this is just my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
See, everybody has jumped on the bandwagon. Everyone says, I
Right.
have to do AI, I have to do
Mm,
pilots because somebody else is doing it.
mm,
Number two, I don't think people have actually taken the time
mm,
to clearly identify business problems that they want to solve.
mm,
And they don't really have clear outcomes identified on
mm,
what success would mean.
mm,
So, so you apply some AI capability
mm.
and you get some results.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned in that CEO CFO discussion,
Mm-hmm.
it really hasn't moved the needle at a
Mm-hmm.
company level with respect to KPIs.
Mm-hmm.
The most successful area of AI implementation is in customer service,
Mm,
okay, where
mm,
7 out of 10 pilots in worldwide are in the area of customer service.
mm-hmm.
And while AI has done a great job of giving customer service agents information
Mm,
and saving them time,
yeah.
like I said, it really hasn't caused an impact on the bottom line of the company.
Mm-hmm.
So the feeling there is we are doing pilots for the sake of doing pilots,
Mm,
but we haven't had a track record of good outcomes,
mm-hmm.
at least not so far.
Yeah.
Uh, Areas where you have to compare something from last year to this year,
Yeah.
AI does a great job.
Mm-hmm.
For producing new content, it does well in some spots, but it also
Mm-hmm.
has created a problem in some other areas.
Mm,
So it's a really mixed bag of things here.
mm-hmm.
Um, Actually, there are more failures than successes
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think companies, the true value of whether it's successful or not will
Mm-hmm.
only come when
Mm,
we are able to solve end-to-end problems
mm,
with AI.
mm.
If you're able to transform a business process end to end,
Yeah.
then it's a success. If you're just automating or providing intelligence to a subset of a large process, the
Yeah.
inefficiency of the rest of the process will kill the success of the first one.
Interesting.
So we still have some ways to go before we can
Mm,
say it's systemically working,
mm,
because
mm.
right now it's point solutions.
Right. Right. And that again brings a conflict
Although,
in it.
although to
Yeah.
your point, although
Mm,
the spin doctoring by
mm,
companies
mm.
makes you believe otherwise.
Right. And this, like this whole point to point versus end to end, that again brings a tension and a conflict in terms of how are you going to get corporate support for an end-to-end implementation of something without proving small parts of it, but small parts of it are not big enough to
Yeah.
prove much. Uh, okay, so that's a tension that you
Yeah.
navigate day to day.
And I think that's the fundamental thing, right?
Mm,
The biggest problem for
mm,
AI adoption at scale
mm,
is change management,
yeah.
because
Mm,
people, by the definition of people, are resistant to change.
mhm.
And if your team has done things a certain way for so many years, and you're coming in and with this new capability, people
Yeah.
will put up guardrails. Uh, and when you talk about an end-to-end process, there are multiple stakeholders. There's never an individual owner for an end-to-end process.
Hmm.
So that's where the friction and the tension comes.
Yeah, makes sense. Um, is there one use case that comes to your mind that you could walk us through from start to finish, in a way on how it was defined, what role AI potentially played there, what outcome you saw?
See, there are lots of end-to-end use cases,
Mm,
okay, for
mm,
successful AI implementation. For the
mm,
most common one that people talk about is, intelligent document processing, along
mm,
with workflow automation, where you
mm,
take unstructured data like your invoices, your contracts, and so on,
mm,
uh, uh, and you digest that using optical character recognition.
mm,
Then you extract the key information from the invoices in the contracts with natural language processing.
Mm-hmm.
and then you update your CRM or ERP systems,
Mm-hmm.
and then you trigger actions, whether it's payments or approval, with
Mm-hmm.
some human intervention. So,
Mm-hmm.
what this kind of a process will allow, this kind of a use case will allow us to do is to reduce processing time,
Mm-hmm.
improves the accuracy of making decisions, and it
Mm-hmm.
automates. There's some
Yeah.
level of human intervention required at the end,
Mm-hmm.
but it's basically from data ingestion to completion. So that is something that a lot of companies, even before AI came, they started moving in that direction, right?
Yeah.
And then you can look at similar use cases across multiple industries. You can have predictive maintenance in the manufacturing context,
Mm-hmm.
where AI looks at sensor data to predict failure of a machine. It automatically schedules maintenance and downtime. It
Yeah.
triggers spare parts inventory orders, reducing downtime again.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, you can look in the financial services industry and you look at fraud detection in transactions.
Mm-hmm.
You analyze the transaction in real time, you flag
Yeah.
suspicious activity, and
Mm-hmm.
you can isolate compromised accounts, therefore
Mm-hmm.
reduce
Yeah.
fraud, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Again, we use it in healthcare diagnostic imaging, conditions
Mm-hmm.
from MRI scans.
Yeah.
Last year to this year, what was different? And you
Mm-hmm.
create personalized treatment plans and
Mm-hmm.
so on. So
Mm-hmm.
there are lots of end-to-end possibilities.
Yeah.
Companies have done bits and pieces of those end-to-end, and I think in
Mm-hmm.
the coming next 1 or 2 years, they will have to take them across these end-to-end chains for it to have material value.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if you're just scanning invoices and making that faster, that's not solving the entire problem, right?
Right. Right. Given that, like, for
So
example,
almost
yeah,
always the KPIs are around cycle time reduction.
time reduction.
And I was saying most of these cases, the
Mm-hmm.
cycle time reduction is the key benefit for end to
Got it.
end.
Okay. Okay. And is the data problem in AI different from the data problem when it came to just regular analytics and data science? Given that it's mostly unstructured data here, and in there it was mostly structured data.
Yeah, I would say so. I think the data problem in AI is uh, quite different from the
Mm-hmm.
data problem in traditional analytics, and
Mm-hmm.
particularly the shift towards unstructured data.
Mm-hmm.
Traditional data science and analytics focused on reporting,
Mm-hmm.
querying, um, and really understanding the the uh, the patterns that
Yeah.
exist
Yeah.
from past events and so on.
Yeah.
However, if you look at AI,
Mm-hmm.
requires diverse data sets.
Yeah.
First, that you have to train AI on all of that and to
Yeah.
predict future outcomes, and more importantly, generate new content.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very different data play. So the
Mm-hmm.
shift towards unstructured data exacerbates this simply because you're moving from missing values to uninterpretable formats, which is what unstructured data is all about, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so historically, you dealt with tabular, organized, clean data,
Yeah.
and you focused on missing data, inconsistent data, and volume data. And now you're dealing with unstructured data with like emails, PDF, social media, images, and so on.
Yeah.
And this unstructured data don't have predefined schema, so it makes it a little more challenging, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, of course, earlier you had
Mm-hmm.
this notion of garbage in equals garbage out.
Mm-hmm.
So when you had bad data, you could fix the bad data manually or otherwise.
Right.
But now in an AI, if there is a bad data, you're training the data, training the model on the data.
Yeah.
If the data is bad to begin with, you get garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a very different kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, the for the data to be meaningful, earlier you did a lot of ETL work to fit data into a schema that you could then use.
Mm-hmm.
And now, of course, you really require advanced uh, indexing, embedding, RAG architecture, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
so that the models can then consume this information. So it's a very, very different thing. And of course, with unstructured data coming in, the volume of data and the velocity of data has also gone through the roof.
Mm.
So it is a very different play.
Got it. Okay. And you see, inside an enterprise, you have use cases coming top down from the CEO, CFO, CIO, and there's probably lots of use cases that are bubbling up from thousands of people, each team wanting to do their own stuff. What's the right way to balance these two? Is there a centralized AI governance board who approves every project? What's the right way to think through something like that?
Yeah. So what we do here at Philips is the fact that we continue to get lots of ideas and suggestions coming from people, right?
Hmm.
There is an architectural review board
Mm.
that actually looks at all these projects coming in.
Hmm.
And the things that we really focus on are the outcomes.
Mm.
What problem are we trying to solve?
Mm.
What would define success in terms of metrics or KPIs? That's the
Hmm.
first condition.
Mm.
The second one is we've built an AI foundation that has all the
Mm.
common elements of infrastructure and access and security and all of that
Hmm.
that everybody has to follow.
Mm.
Beyond that, you have the ability to deploy the tools that you want to build the solution that you want, as long as you follow these guardrails. But the only thing we would work with you on is the identification of the business case on and whether this project is worth doing and if the outcomes have meaningful impact on the company. So you will have to say no to all the hobby projects that are coming your way,
Right. Yeah.
which
I
is a
think I
very
read
hard
about.
thing to do
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Hmm.
hobby projects are the most common. Everyone wants to do something that they like.
Right. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but if you think about it, right? If I'm able to summarize my mails better, how does that help the company? Doesn't.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Those are the things
That's a
which is very
classic
difficult to
example of a hobby project.
put. It's very difficult to put an outcome metric to things like that.
Police. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Do you maybe have a contrarian take on AI that other leaders should factor in?
The first thing, of course, is implementation of AI is much, much harder
Mm.
than promised.
Mm.
There is no easy way out of any AI project. It really requires some significant thinking and analysis
Mm.
from human beings.
Hmm.
Uh, like you've got to get your workflows right. You've got to break down jobs and tasks. And you've got to train people alongside AI agents in order to work successfully to deliver a model. So the contrarian view is it's not as easy as it's made out, where you just say, roll this capability out and magic will happen. No, it will not.
Mm.
The role of the human being and the role and the implementation is much, much harder to the point with it we made earlier about change management.
Hmm.
Change management can scuttle any program that is out there, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then fundamentally, um, the contrarian view is if you really look at everything that has been of benefit to mankind
Mm.
over the years, any
Hmm.
new invention or new technology or whatever,
Yeah.
it had a honeymoon phase and then it did some bad things where it forced a reset. And I'm convinced that somewhere AI will stub its toe and create a bad name for itself. And that
Hmm.
will move the world towards more rational adoption and rational implementation of AI capability.
Hmm.
And of course, the other thing is, which is an interesting thing, which we've seen with, particularly with software developers, right? Uh, AI typically makes recommendations for code.
Yeah.
What we've seen is that below average programmers are not able to consume the recommendation effectively. The
Mm.
above average programmer is able to consume the recommendation better. So
Mm.
AI in some ways is can create inequality, not just productivity universally. The
mm,
good ones can get great, the bad ones
mhm,
can get poor. So
mhm.
that's something that it can create a haves and a have-nots.
Yeah. Okay.
If and that can also create a problem for us in
Mhm.
companies. Um, so it's not totally a contrarian view. It's just a few gotchas that you have to worry about.
Worry about. Okay. And since you brought up change management a couple of times, uh, is one solution to that, and is that AI projects uh, include all these stakeholders much earlier as part of the project itself, rather than bringing them in at the end, or is that easier said than done in an enterprise setting?
No, no, it's mandatory. Like I said, these need to be
Mm,
business led.
mm,
And the only way it can be business led is if the stakeholder is involved from day one,
mm,
defining the problem, defining the outcome, defining what success means, and
mm,
more importantly, talk about the problems that they are facing. Only then can this project be successful. It cannot be done in a vacuum,
mm,
and it's not difficult to do. You just have
mm,
to get people involved from day one.
mm,
Where where is going to have where it'll be truly tested
mm,
is that end-to-end scenario where there are
mm,
multiple stakeholders.
mm,
Each of them may move it in a different direction. So it's
mm,
important that we get consensus
mm.
amongst those multiple stakeholders on what success would mean. And that is
Yeah,
also the reason why I mentioned earlier that end-to-end success is yet to be achieved.
yeah. So, someone recently, a friend of mine sent me the resume of his nephew, this fresh college grad, top 10 US university, top GPAs, not able to find a job. And he's obviously attributing it to AI taking away entry-level jobs. Uh, are you seeing a very broad pattern of that at your end, number one? And number two, what does somebody like this have to do to um, um, shine, get a job?
Yeah. See, fundamentally, the hiring in universities has gone down dramatically.
Mm,
Companies that used to hire 20 are now going to campus and hiring 5. So what do the other
mm,
people do, right? The answer, my view is that everybody has to start a little earlier
mm,
in the process. And what do I mean by that? So typically, most computer science students or most engineering students, etc., go in through a 4-year program in college where they learn academic skills in the second and third year and broadly use the fourth year for interviewing and finding jobs and applying for graduate school, all of that, right?
mm, mm,
And the first time they're actually exposed to real world problems and real hands on skills is the final year. That's when they
mm.
do internships.
Yeah.
So, one of the models that I'm personally driving
Hmm.
is to move that process to the beginning of the second year, your sophomore year,
Hmm.
and actually affiliating the students right from the second year
Mm,
with companies, with real world challenges, with future proof skilling opportunities. So, for the next 2 to 2.5 years, they do this in parallel with their academic load,
mm,
where they're actually working on building hands on skills on real world problems.
yeah.
So by the time they graduate, they are no longer
Hmm.
freshers. They are people who worked with the company for 2 to 2.5 years. They've
Hmm.
built that hands on skill,
Hmm.
and the company doesn't have to go fighting for campus recruitment because they've got their dedicated, curated talent already.
Mm,
So, this is what I'm trying to drive.
hmm.
Um, with colleges in India, for example, as a
Okay.
start, and then we can see
Okay.
what we can do in other parts of the world.
Mm,
Um, but to me, the key skills for students is hands-on experiential skills, exposure to real-world problems, specific skill sets like product management or product development skills, AI, ML ops kind of skills, etc. you can't just teach all these capabilities. You've got to experience this.
Hmm.
And so the earlier the student can actually affiliate himself or herself with an industry sponsor
Yeah.
and work towards
Hmm.
building that hands-on experiential skill, the
Yeah.
better off they will be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doing it in the final year is too late.
Right. I can see how this can be very helpful, almost like a apprentice kind of model, an
Yeah,
extended, very
yeah,
extended
yeah,
internship. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I can see how that'll be super helpful.
Actually,
Um,
the,
mm,
the startup that I'm affiliating myself with
mhm.
moving forward does exactly this for universities.
I see. Providing an apprentice kind of model.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are working with a few universities right now, having
Hmm.
initial discussions on how to roll this out.
I
So
see. Hmm.
this is my after Philips.
I see. I see. Very interesting answer. I think it's very timely and so much needed to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and finally, I know we're almost on time. And finally, Gopal, I was curious, which is when I met you in Dubai, you were very generous with your time, gave me feedback on my presentation, and then you generously offered your time for this podcast. It seemed to me that there's some kind of an underlying value system in which you operate day to day in people interactions. And I was just curious what is it, and how does it manifest itself when you deal with such a large team?
See, see, I think at the end of the day, the most valuable assets in all our lives are the people who we work with and the people around us.
Mm,
Number one. Number two is I almost always view every interaction that I have with another person as an opportunity for me to learn.
mm,
They bring a different thought process. They provide different perspectives. They are qualified in very different ways, etc. So I almost always view it as an opportunity to learn.
mhm,
Right. Number one. Number two. Number three is I always say that in life you've got to listen more and talk less. Okay. And if God wanted you to do the reverse, He would have given you two mouths and one ear. The fact that you
mhm,
have two ears and one mouth means you talk less and you listen more. And you've got to keep yourself approachable to other people because, I mean, obviously, um, you go through life and you experience a lot of scenarios and situations, and you learn from that, and maybe you can pass on that to other people, right? At the end of the day, finding that time and making sure that you give them the time to have that interaction
mhm,
works
mhm,
bi-directionally. Everyone benefits from that. And always thought of myself as doing this, and I just
mhm.
enjoy doing those types of interactions. So you can call it a core value system, but it is what it is.
Okay. Okay. That's great. I mean, it must be very fulfilling going down that path. Thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
Yeah. Awesome. This has been a very, very valuable, Gopal. Thank you so much for taking time to do this.
No problem at all. Thank you. If you need anything else, you know where to find me. But appreciate you giving me the time to talk to everybody.